Tahoma2D is the greatest animation software for studying and learning animation. Today I'm using the Huion Kamvas 24 Pro Gen 3 with the shortcut remote. The tablet itself is touchscreen, as well as having a nice paper-like surface to draw on. That's why I can call this the greatest drawing tablet I've ever used. Tahoma2D. Version 1.6 added new brush tips, also some tilt support for your pen, so this should be exciting. So when you open Tahoma, you'll get a screen just like this. We're gonna hit New Scene, do my 4K preset, give it a name. So nice that I don't have to have a keyboard with this setup. I can just use the touch screen. I'm gonna hit Create Scene. Select the brush tool, start drawing to make your first frame. You'll see it make a raster layer for us. Gonna hit the eraser over here, make it bigger. So this first bar will be as small as it can get. The last bar will be as big as it can get. So I'm gonna maybe set it really, really big. And then just press down and erase. I have pressure sensitivity on this tablet, which I can check out and adjust in the settings. In the Huion driver app, I have the Kamvas Pro 24 Gen 3, as well as the key dial remote, which I can edit both of them. Clicking on the Kamvas 24, I get the pen settings. I can adjust my pressure curve. Oh, it even allows me to do a virtual keyboard. That's pretty cool. Put that on, and then I guess I can press things. Oh, okay. But with the key dial, I know that I can switch to brush and then eraser, which is really, really nice. So to get your brush like this, I have a pretty nice brush. I'm using the new brush tips feature. And what that is that I can go up here and select the tip of my brush from this menu. I believe that you can add more probably. So I have this one right here, this tall, blurry brush. And then also you can edit the tilt and opacity, pressure. So right now I click on this little gear up here and I have pressure checked and I also have tilt checked, okay? Tilt. And then I can come over here to opacity. I can press that, and I have pressure activated. That means that the amount of pressure I put down is going to change the opacity or transparency of the brush. That's how I'm getting that nice looking gradient from light to dark. So let's get through all the boring setup stuff. Go to File, Preferences. First, you want to change your default project path. So I made this my OneDrive folder, but this is so if you update your version of Tahoma, you'll still be able to use all of your projects. So click these three dots and set a folder where you can put your animation projects. Next, in interface, you want to change the theme to neutral. The black with the magenta is I'm not feeling that. So I'm going to go for neutral. I'm going to go to onion skin and change my colors. I like to make my previous frames this nice red. Double tap that to get the color wheel and change it. And my following frames to be this blue, cerulean blue. Next, I go to touch and tablet settings. And so for this Huion tablet, you're going to want to enable touch gesture controls. Undo is going to be a 2-finger tap. Redo is going to be 3 fingers. So let's test that out. Draw something. We can pinch and zoom and spin the canvas around all we like. Then to undo, all we do is tap with 2 fingers. 1 finger will just pan around the canvas. I haven't really warmed up today, so I got to get some reference to animate from. Go to Panels, Flipbook, right click, Load Append Images. Gonna go to my downloads folder and take up this video called Backflip. I'm gonna try appending it. Oh, it's already done. All right, so now, as you can see in the flipbook, I have all these controls, all these, things. All I really want is the play button stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead, go over here, click this, and I'm gonna take off frame rate, histogram. I'm gonna keep save, snapshot. Let's take off save too. Loading box. I'm just going to take off everything except for playback controls. Now I can throw my reference somewhere over here. I can even zoom in on the reference, adjust it to where I need it to be. Really, really good stuff. I'm going to play it through so it can save into the RAM, and then we'll be able to scrub it smoothly as we animate. Here's what the driver page for the key dial remote looks like. So I can select which part of the key dial I want to edit. All the buttons, I can assign them. Really, really good stuff. Nice and clean looking. My biggest problem with Huion over the years was their driver was not good. They fixed it. I never used Huion tablets and now I'm their biggest fan. I'm gonna draw the force interacting with the body like this, okay? And I can tap in here and I can go frame by frame inside the flipbook as well, which is really cool. So if I want to go frame by frame, I just hover over the viewer, but if I want to use it in my flipbook, I can just hover over the flipbook. Tap the next frame, draw something. Just one line should be enough. And then compress again. Where is he? Where's another place where he's compressing? So he stretches out. Maybe. Doesn't that make it so simple? When you just draw the forces, it's so easy to see the mechanics behind what makes a motion work. A backflip seems so complicated, but when you draw these simple forces, what do you get? Look at that. We can play this while we're scrubbing through. Isn't that something? That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. You gotta admit, Tahoma2D has some nice features. All right, so now at rest, and then crouch down, flipping, stretching, and squashing, all that stuff. Really, really cool stuff, guys. I can literally add anything I want to this. What should I? I've never done a backflip with a snowman before. Hold on, just give me a second, bear with me. Raster layer. No, I don't want a smart raster layer. That's for kind of like finishing up your lines. I want a regular raster level. I kind of forgot to explain. So in Tahoma, your levels are, your columns are kind of like your layers. Your levels are these sequences of drawings that go inside the columns, okay? You would remember that if you used OpenTunes. Man guy, let's see. Kind of bend this. Yeah. Big squash. That's pretty cool. Guys, I mean, how much fun can this be? I didn't even think I was gonna animate a snowman kicking backflips. All right, but the animation isn't centered. I think we can make a better use of space. Select the animate tool here, and then drag this over somewhat. And I think I'm gonna take off this original frame here, and so I'm gonna hide this from the drawing layer. I'm going to hide it here. Then I'm also going to hide it when it renders the animation by unchecking that eye all the way down there. So we got some nice movement here. So I'm back. I added a little bit more drawings to this animation just to give it some more weight. I want to let you know how we can edit our drawings in Tahoma2D. If I click and drag on one of the drawings, I can drag it around the timeline. Your timeline may actually look more like this. So all you can do, what you can do is you can drag this bar on the bottom to scale the timeline. Click and drag individual frames around the timeline to change their placement in time. I'm going to tap on a blank frame and drag to select everything. Right click. Then I'm going to hit reframe. You can also reframe on ones. That'll put all the frames together. So they'll play really fast. I also have this loop marker set at the end, so I can set that at the. Can click and drag this little triangle. The whole entire animation can loop on its own. I can also right click to remove the stop marker so that the start and stop markers no longer apply. I can just select all these, reframe them, and the animation will loop whenever these stop. Then I'm going to reframe them on 3s like I had them. And then I'm going to make sure. So this is the last frame, but I want it to last a little while, so I'm going to go 2 frames out to make sure this gets its full exposure. Exposure is just how long you see a certain drawing. Select this entire space, right click, and hit loop frames. So it's not looping as long as I would want it. I want the loop to play a few times, so I'm going to set the stop marker to maybe around here. See where that takes me. So use the loop frames setting and also the start and stop marker to your advantage when animating cycles. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer. This is going to be a smart raster level. So I'm going to go down here, hit Smart Raster Level. Going to hit OK. On the timeline, it appears as green. Or with the brush tool, I can draw. I'm actually going to change the brush tip. It's actually set to I want to set it to this square I have right here. And I think that's good. Tilt is on, that's great. And I really don't want any variation in pressure sensitivity, so I'm going to go up here and take tick pressure off. I'm going to lower the opacity of the layer beneath this that we drew on so I can focus on my line work. Hit save all and then get drawing. So the way that you do your final lines in animation is in the same order you did your keyframes. So you start with the first one, and then the next major keyframe was this one right here. I do them by order of importance. I kind of want to reference my previous frame here. So what I can do is come down to the timeline, and then right here, I see this red and this blue circle. That's the onion skin. If you don't see that, you can hit activate onion skin right here. Oh, there it goes. So I can select which frames I'd like to see, how many frames I'd like to see that are following the one I'm looking at, or how many I'd like to see that on my previous frame. So previous is red, following is blue. What I'm doing here is just implementing a little bit of contrast. So that, as you can see, this line is straight and steady. On the stretch side, this is the stretched side. And then on this side, the squash side, I'm just putting a lot of line variation. It's just a nice motif you can put in to make your line art more interesting. The cleanup art usually takes the longest, so I'm going to move on to coloring. So all you have to do to add colors in Tahoma2D and also in OpenToonz is just go over to the palette, hit this plus button right here, then select the color you want. Now I'm using the brush tool. If I draw over these lines, it'll overlap them. I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to hit undo by tapping my fingers on the screen. Then I'm going to go over to this paintbrush tool. Set the size. Hey, wait a minute. Hold up. Hey, they added pressure to the paintbrush. When did they do that? That's crazy. Huh. Look at that. I didn't know they had that. So you can actually tap this pressure checkbox. So the paintbrush works just like a regular brush. That's really cool. And as you can see, the color, because we're using the paintbrush tool, is falling behind the lines, which is where we want it. The cool thing is that we're on the same layer. So I don't have to make a new layer, place it underneath the lines to color them. I can do it all on one layer. Of course, you also have the fill bucket tool. That's this bucket right over here. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit, and then I can just tap to have anything filled in the color I want. Granted that the lines usually have to be closed. You have some minimum and maximum fill depth. We'll get into that later because honestly, I'm really not versed in how they work. So let's get a color for the nose, which is a carrot. So get some bright orange color. That'll do fine. I already drew my colors on the canvas. I really don't like this bluish white. I want to change it. So just tap that color and you can automatically live readjust it. I want it to be a little bit more white. And this brown, I want it to be a little darker. I guess we should add some shadow color. So I'm going to tap the snow color, then hit plus here. So that way it will kind of duplicate the color so I can have it as a reference. I'm going to turn the value down. I'm actually going to click this 3 bars context menu here and go to HSV. So I can have these bars. I can easily adjust the value, bring it down, then just bring up the saturation a little bit and change the hue probably just a tad towards the purple side. There we go. Tap the orange color, hit the plus so we can duplicate it. Then let's saturate it a little more, bring the value down, make it slightly more red. I always think the onion skin looks so cool when you've already colored in the entire animation. I look forward to seeing what the onion skins look like. So I used the fill tool and I made some of these weird lines, but I can't really erase them. What you have to do is tap the eraser, go to mode, and then hit areas. Because the colors that we use the paintbrush count as areas and not lines. So we can, right now we're just erasing the areas. So if I go over the lines with the eraser, nothing will happen. So that way I can erase my colors independent of my lines, which is really nice and organized. And then when I'm done, switch back to lines, or I can erase lines and areas like this. Pretty cool. I have so many frames left to do, but I gotta cut it short, guys. Sorry about that. So let me show you quickly how to export your animation into a video file or a GIF or something like that. So first of all, you wanna go to File and Save. Then you're gonna go to Render, Output Settings. You can set the duration of your animation by selecting the frame start and end. I'm going from frame 1 to frame 40. It's gonna save in the Outputs folder in my animation project folder, if that makes sense, okay? The name's going to be called Force Pass. I don't really care. I'm going to select the drop-down menu for the file type and select GIF, and then save and render. I didn't expect the background to be black, so let's fix that. Go back into Tahoma2D. Gonna go to Scene Settings. Camera background color was actually transparent. So I'm going to tap this and then we'll double tap it. Then I'm going to select this white color, drag the alpha all the way up. So now it's no longer transparent. Did you see that? Transparent, non-transparent. I also didn't want this other draft layer to render. So I'm going to go down here, select this eye right here, uncheck that. So if you put the eye in there, that means it'll render. If you take it off, or just by clicking it, it won't render any longer. Go to Render, Save and Render. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to the developers of Tahoma2D for making such a wonderfully intuitive, fun, and really capable animation app. Special thanks to Huion for sending over their Kamvas 24 Pro Gen 3, not sponsored. This is genuinely the greatest drawing tablet I've ever used. I'm excited to test it even more in my upcoming videos. So check out Huion with the link in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.